We're like speed running this. Hell yeah.
It's taken us months to get here. We're not.
We're speed running this, okay? Juliet
Yeah,
took
it's a
us a
slow
year.
process. So we have 2 people. Peter is there, but he doesn't say anything. So we
Peter.
really
I'm
only
Peter.
have 2 people. All right, you can be Peter again.
Yes.
Now beyond Peter, we have Juliet and the nurse. Who would like to be Juliet?
I'll do it.
Great. Who would like to be nurse?
I will, Drew.
You vote Drew.
I can do the nurse.
No, I got last place. My partner in crime has volunteered me.
Volunteered me.
Okay. So in this scene, basically, the nurse is coming back. Remember last time she talked with Romeo? She and Romeo kind of worked out the deal that Romeo is going to go to Friar Lawrence to get married to Juliet tonight. So the nurse is coming back to tell that news to Juliet. That's pretty much all that happens in this scene. But because the nurse is running and she's out of shape, she's just like catching her breath. And Juliet's like, please tell me the news. And the nurse is like, just like, wait. And also like, no. And it's just a comedic scene that goes on for much longer than it has to. But it's kind of fun to watch. So we'll read through it. I'll do my notes, only one sticky note this time. And then we will discuss it. So whenever you're ready, enter Juliet.
Wait, is it who's actually reading nurse? It's me, right? I'll just do it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Great.
This is your redemption arc.
The clock struck 9 when I did send the nurse. In half an hour she promised to return. Perchance she cannot meet him. That's not so. Oh, she is lame. Love's heralds should be thoughts, which 10 times faster glides than the sun's beams, driving back shadows over luring hills. Therefore do nimble pinioned doves draw love, and therefore hath the wind swift Cupid wings. Now is the sun upon the highmost hill of this day's journey, and from 9 till 12 is 3 long hours, yet she is not come. Had she affections and warm youthful blood, she would be as swift in motion as a ball. My words would bandy her to my sweet love, and his to me. But old folks may feign as they were dead, unwieldy, slow, heavy, and pale as lead.
Enter nurse and Peter.
Oh God, she comes. Oh, honey nurse, what news? Hast thou met with him? Send thy man away.
Peter, stay at the gate.
Peter exits.
Now, good sweet nurse, O Lord, why lookest thou sad? Though news be sad, yet tell them merrily. If good, thou shamest the music of sweet news by playing it to me with so sour a face.
Whew, I am a-weary. Give me leave a while. Fie, how my bones ache. What a jaunt have I.
I would thou hadst my bones and I thy news. Nay, come, I pray thee, speak. Good nurse, speak.
Oh, Jesu, what haste. Can you not stay a while? Do you not see that I am out of breath?
How art thou out of breath when thou hast breath to say to me that thou art out of breath?
That's wonderful.
The excuse that thou dost make in this delay is longer than the tale thou dost excuse. Is thy news good or bad? Answer to that. Say either, and I'll stay the circumstance. Let me be satisfied. Is it good or bad?
Well, you have made a simple choice. You know not how to choose a man. Romeo? No, not he. Though his face be better than any man's, yet his leg excels all men's, and for a hand and a foot and a body, though they be not to be talked on, yet they are past compare. He is not the flower of courtesy, but I'll warrant him as gentle as a lamb. Go thy ways, wench. Serve God. What, have you dined at home?
No, but all this did I know before. What says he of our marriage? What of that?
Oh, Lord, how my head aches. Oh, what a head have I. It would fall in 20 pieces. My back on the other side. Oh, my back. Beshrew your heart for sending me about to catch my death with jaunting up and down.
If faith, I am sorry that thou art not well. Sweet, sweet, sweet nurse, tell me what says my love.
Your love says, like an honest gentleman, and a courteous, and a kind, and a handsome, and I warrant a virtuous... Where is your mother?
Where is my mother? Why, she is within. Where should she be? How oddly thou repliest. Your love says, like an honest gentleman, where is your mother?
Oh, Gods, lady, dear, are you so hot? Mary, come up, I trow. Is this the poultice for my aching bones? Henceforward, do your messages yourself.
Here's such a coil. Come, what says Romeo?
Have you got leave to go to shrift today?
I have.
Then hie you hence to Friar Lawrence's cell. There stays a husband to make you a wife. Now comes the wanton blood up in your cheeks. They'll be in scarlet straight at any news. Hie you to church. I must another way. To fetch a ladder by the which your love must climb a bird's nest soon when it is dark. I am the drudge and toil and your delight, but you shall bear the burden soon at night. Go, all to dinner. Hie you to the cell.
High to high fortune. Honest nurse, farewell.
They exit. Yeah.
That was lovely. Actually, Drew, you killed it.
Yeah.
That was a really nice
I'm
nurse.
so glad that you did the nurse.
This scene was actually very hilarious to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Of all the scenes that are just like, this scene exists to take up time and tell jokes, I think it's one of the better ones.
Finally, they told some jokes.
Yeah,
Some
they also
jokes.
don't belabor the point, you know? I mean, he does, but like, it seems like he doesn't beat the death out of the joke.
Right.
Definitely.
And I love
Okay.
how Juliet, once again, is the reasonable one. Like,
Mm.
you're clearly able to speak to me. Are you just fucking with me right
Yeah,
now?
the nurse is also actually crazy. Like, actually crazy.
I just, it's so funny. She just logically defeats her with, if you have breath to speak, you don't need it. It's just so checkmated. The excuse that thou dost make in this delay is longer than the tale thou dost yeah.
Oh my lord.
Yeah. Beat with facts and logic. Yeah, I do like Juliet's character in this, and we will talk about that. I'm going to run through some comprehension, and then we can talk about so many things. Okay, so scrolling back up to the top, Juliet calls her nurse lame. Nowadays, you know, we mostly use lame to be like bad,
So-
like, oh, you're so lame, right? Technically, it means like that someone can't walk correctly, something, right? So, but the thing
Wait,
is,
we
she is
just
not.
call other people like you're crippled, and that means like you're lame. Like,
Yeah,
oh,
that's
no,
what it really
that's not
means.
chill.
Mhm.
Like, your coolness is
It's not chill at all.
Yeah. So she is not actually physically lame, but she is slow moving is what Juliet's getting at, as if she were limping. So that's what she's saying there. She's not just being like, oh, she's so lame.
You're so lame.
Then she goes
also,
in.
like, yeah, just like she's so old. Like, why am I have to wait for this nurse who, like, if I had a young nurse, I'd have the news already.
Mhm. Yeah, that's definitely what her first monologue is getting at here. She says, love's herald, so the people who are like doing things for love should be like thoughts which are 10 times faster than sunbeams, right? Like, this is for love, and love is so awesome, like you should be moving fast. And then we go down to, this is why love, and this time when she says love with a capital L, she's referring to the goddess love, aka Aphrodite. You can see her referred to by love in other like Greek texts. So it's like love's carriage is drawn by doves, which are very fast, and Cupid's wings, Aphrodite's son Eros, or Cupid, has wings as well, so they're both very fast. She's just like, love should be fast, damn it. It's been 3 hours. 3 hours. It's actually quite a long time for her to go down to like the center of town, meet Romeo, which she did almost immediately, and then turn back. So it kind of is understandable. It's taking a long time.
It's like when you're just waiting for that text back, you know?
Mm.
Right.
Like, it has to be
The
delivered by
internet is fast.
So
No, they
it has
definitely read the
been-
message. But don't worry
Yes.
about that.
We got the message.
It just
Yeah.
says delivered.
Yeah, delivered, and you're just watching
Delivered,
your
yeah.
phone for 3 hours. Like the
They
technology.
didn't leave you on red. You left them speechless.
Indeed. So the nurse comes back. She's very out of breath, as we obviously know. And Juliet says, "Why do you look so sad?" I guess the nurse is just like, you know. So Juliet's like, "Why do you look so sad? Even if the news is sad, tell me with like a happy face. You know, don't make me feel even worse. But if it's good news, like, match it with your face. Like, relax and smile, please. The nurse says, leave me, just let me catch up. On another version of this, she says, what a jaunts have I? And this one it says jaunt. They both just mean journey, right? Like, what a trip I have had. Juliet says, I wish, would means wish in this context. I wish you had my bones and I had your news. Literally, like, I would give my bones to know what you know.
No.
So she goes, please just tell me what you know. Say whether it's good or bad. Just say, it's good or it's bad news, and I'll listen to the rest. Just tell me that. Then the nurse goes into, you made a simple choice, you know not how to choose a man. Romeo? No, not he. So she's not the biggest fan of Romeo, considering that he, like, destroyed her in the last scene, right? But she does admit he is nice. He's got nice legs and a nice body, but he's not very courteous. And then she gets distracted and says, yo, have you guys had lunch yet? And Juliet is like, no, but, like, I know that. What did she say of our marriage? And now the biggest comprehension tip to know is when the nurse says, have you leave to go to shrift today? She's referring to confession. So to go to confession, you'd go to the church, which is where Romeo is waiting to get married. So have you asked permission to go to confession today? Juliet says, I have. Awesome. Perfect. So say that you're going to confession and go to Friar Lawrence and you're there to get married. Now, in true nurse fashion, she makes a unintended innuendo when she talks about the wanton blood rushing up to Juliet's cheeks. Wanton can mean excited, but just like the word excited, it can also have sexual context in some ways. So the nurse is kind of accidentally making another innuendo. Oh, you're getting all sexually excited. And then another one. Later on, she makes an intentional joke. She's like, I have to go get the ladder. I'm bearing the burden of this, but soon you're going to bear a burden. Later tonight, you're going to be bearing Romeo's weight, and then maybe his child if things go perfectly well, right? And then she leaves. The end.
No. Isn't she like 13?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's their plan. So, like, she's getting a ladder to hang by Juliet's window so that after they get married, Romeo can climb up unseen and they can consummate their marriage, have a little honeymoon.
What a honeymoon.
What a honeymoon.
Window.
Oh, that would also make it harder to get the marriage annulled.
Literally trespassing otherwise. Well, what a chapter.
I love how I roast the nurse for no discernible reason that I can tell.
Yeah, she really is just like that funny lady that we all shit on for some reason.
Is that like a common thing? Everyone shits on the nurse?
I mean, in this play,
all
they
the other
do.
characters do.
Well, that's for sure.
Because before this, it was like Romeo and his boys taking to make fun of her, and then Juliet is complaining. Had she affections and warm, youthful blood? Which is like Darian was saying, if she wasn't an old, loveless crone, maybe then she'd care.
I mean, that's big. I think it's big teenager feelings, though.
Yeah.
Questioning if your parents or the other old people around you they don't know what it's like to be your age, even though they were your age fundamentally at some point.
They just don't understand.
They just don't get it.
Unwieldy, slow, heavy, and pale as lead.
Ouch.
Old people put on blast by Juliet.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, to tie back to our MCR video, famously, they had various things to say about teenagers. So,
Yeah.
the generational divide, it wide.
While you were gone, Logan, we were saying how, as far as the comedic filler scenes go, this is one of the better ones. And how the best part is when Juliet tells the nurse, hey, if you have enough breath to talk to me right now, you can obviously tell me what your news is. Stop fucking with me.
Yeah, I mean, I see that joke now, like stuff like, are you asleep? Yes. Like it's the same kind of thing. And Annette, you brought up Juliet's character being, again, like the smart one and the confident one. And I think that's something that's perhaps unexpectedly consistent throughout. Like, even though she's, a woman back in the day, and even though she's 13, she's still allowed to be really smart and like understanding. And, in this scene, the nurse is older, perhaps wiser, but still is kind of the butt of the joke. Now, the nurse does have social aspects that put her the butt of the joke, being lower class and apparently overweight and old. But if you can put all of that aside, it is nice to see Juliet being competent. I could very easily picture a Romeo and Juliet play where Juliet is just a silly girl who doesn't know any better.
Yes, some of them have cut out Juliet's scenes, not like lines, but whole scenes like this, because they portrayed her as too like competent in changing the plot, and to make her more like romantic, aka damsel in distressy, they just would have the scenes of Romeo swooning her and stuff like that.
I read this thing once when I was I took a Shakespeare class in grad school. We did Macbeth. There was a paper someone else wrote about how Macbeth and Lady Macbeth go against gender norms of the time. And so Lady Macbeth, especially at the beginning of the play, is very much like, you need to go out and like do some murdering. And Macbeth is like, no, I like don't want to murder. No, but then listens to his wife, like does what she says. So she's kind of telling him what to do. And then it's suggested in that essay that like Shakespeare's point there is by stepping outside the gender norms, you're acting unnaturally, which leads into the whole like witches and unnatural stuff and fate not liking them and blah, blah, blah. I can see maybe, despite the positives of seeing Juliet as like a really strong female character, not really strong, as a strong female character, that could be playing in here as well. Romeo is clearly a dumbass, but also very emotional and like caught up in love in a way that you might expect a female character to traditionally be, whereas Juliet is smart and competent in the way that you might expect a traditional male character to be. So it may be that Shakespeare is kind of hitting that nail again, like, hey, if you step outside of your lane, bad things are going to happen to you.
Yeah, I guess for me, I think there's a bit of a distinction though, because with Lady Macbeth, if we're bringing in the wider Shakespeare, because in that there's sort of a direct Adam and Eve parallel, right, of Adam's wife leading him into temptation and going against the commands of God. And I have images like the Sphinx and lots of classic myths in which the feminine represents something very scary and unknown and unnatural. In this case, I don't feel like Juliet is particularly leading Romeo into temptation. So I agree that I don't think it's as progressive on its gender norms as we might want it to be, or that you could assume it to be just from the fact that Juliet gets to do literally anything in this play. But I don't think it's quite as drastic as, because I mean, also they both, I'm trying to formulate this thought into something cogent, but it does not seem to me that Juliet is the sole or primary harbinger of the unfortunate end of the play, especially since, I mean, the kind of dramatic turn in the middle, spoiler, Juliet's not even part of the actual tragic act that leads to both of them corking it at the end.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think in this play, they're both level with each other as innocent young dumbasses who just want to explore love and romance as young people. And they're both snarky in their own different ways. Juliet's being snarky with the nurse here. Romeo engages in some wordplay with his boys. As part of being a teenager too is just snarking it up and being extremely sarcastic and having that quintessential teenage attitude. It doesn't really seem like either one of them is making a mistake by being infatuated with each other, since we had all those holy symbols in earlier scenes.
Yeah.
So I don't know if like them going against nature is the reason that things go awry. It's the vendetta. It's the family grudge that has nothing to do with them.
Yeah, I mean, I guess to kind of follow on from that, also thinking in sense of kind of who's responsible for what goes wrong, and that, and I guess the kind of contrast of the willful, youthful ignorance of the main two characters. It does seem to me like if we're kind of assigning blame, that honestly, characters like Friar Lawrence or the nurse, who we're obviously rooting for because they're on the sides of our protagonist, like we want it to be a happy ending and we recognize that the vendetta's done. But it also seems like at every point in the play where someone really should have stuck their foot down and said, hey, no, this is really going to end badly, they don't. Because even in the case of Friar Lawrence, we discussed in the earlier scene, where he even says it's a bad idea, but it might get your parents to stop fighting, so I'm going to give you the thumbs up.
Yeah, the compliant adults here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the adults definitely don't help in the amount that they're helping.
Do not help.
It's kind of crazy to put it into modern context, which, you know, pros and cons of that. But like, if you were a priest or like a teacher and your like 13-year-old student was like, I'm in love with a 16-year-old and you need to help me go against my dad so I can marry him tonight, it'd be like, absolutely not
kosher. Absolutely not.
minus a lot of like modern standards, but that's what's happening. Like Friar Lawrence is just like, oh cool, like this child that I sometimes mentor is in love with another child and I'm gonna just let it happen.
This may sound sad, but that's actually what makes a lot of these characters to me realistic. Romeo and Juliet are on like level playing field. The two foils of Friar Lawrence and the nurse are both compliant adults who, instead of putting in the extra work to make them do the right thing, they're like, I'll just help you out. Like, whatever, it's teen drama. It's not actually serious. And I was actually thinking from what you all were saying about how everybody, when they read this play in high school and then go on and if they end up reading more Shakespeare, they're always, the first woke thing they say is like, Romeo and Juliet sucks. There's so many better Shakespeare plays. Or why is this always the first one we get? Because the plot is like, you know, it ends with this crazy, unrealistic, spoiler, double suicide thing that happens. And I think it's because the characters are not as like dynamically opposed as Macbeth and Lady Macbeth, where it's like, you know, evil wife and reluctant evil king. Romeo and Juliet feel pretty like reasonable, like you were saying, like very like on the level, and everything else is just people going along with it until the end, and then you get kind of the shenanigans.
Yeah, and that might be why it works so well, like the juxtaposition of what is otherwise a pretty normal, you know, teen / preteen relationship resulting in 3, maybe more deaths, 4 deaths. Like, why? Like, it should not come to this, I think, is kind of might be why it's so surprising that it does.
Yeah, like just imagine how, I mean, obviously counterfactuals, and there wouldn't be a plot if this were the case. Yeah. But if we put ourselves in the fiction and pretend that any of this is real, at any point the nurse could theoretically go to Juliet's dad and be like, hey, you should probably know before anything, you know, blows up. Also, that's technically her boss too, so there's another weird kind of divide in sort of how these houses are running and whatnot.
You're so right. That's one of the things that makes me really find this scene hilarious, is that is one of those scenes that seems like out of time for me, where it's like the normal, you know, you go up to your boss and you're just wrecked after an awful day, and the boss is like, come on, tell me what's up, and you're just like, criminy, my back is killing me. Can't you give me a break, boss? And it's like, just tell me it would have taken the nurse 2 seconds to say, meet him tonight. But instead she's like, oh, whoa.
Wow.
And I love the henceforward, do your messages yourself. Like,
why don't you start doing this job yourself?
Yeah.
It's just so, the sarcasm is so, it shows me that sarcasm is timeless. Like when Juliet is saying like, where is my mother? And the nurse is like, oh, is this the poultice for my aching bones? This like blah blah. You're the nurse. You get the poultice for your aching bones. It's really funny. It's funny to me how sarcasm works even back then. Like when you get, when it finally comes through, you're like, yep, it was the same sarcastic opportunities as today.
People have been roasting each other since the dawn of time.
Mm-hmm.
What's the Lady Capulet line where she tells her husband he should be reaching for his cane, not his sword?
Yeah. It's definitely one of those things that, like, sarcasm is kind of hard to get across through text, even today, when you're talking to someone today. Like, I don't know about you guys, but I've definitely had texts be misunderstood when I'm being sarcastic, and then people take it completely literally. And that can be like a difficult situation. But I don't think I know that when I first read this, and sometimes even when I read Shakespeare plays today, I miss it. And I read it literally, and it's like, wait, like, is she getting a poultice for her bones? Like, what's going on? Like, and he doesn't give a lot of stage directions, so it's kind of hard to know where people are and what they're doing. Which is just like another barrier, I think, when you're reading Shakespeare for the first time. Like, what is serious? What is not? Is this a dagger I see before me?
I think that's where reading it aloud, like we're doing, can help inform that a little bit.
Yeah.
Because when you're reading things, like, even if you take your time, your brain kind of skims the words and it's just registering as language, but things like tone, inflection, and the dynamic between characters is easier to figure out when you're interacting with other people who are speaking, or even if you're just reading aloud to yourself.
I would also like to add on that too. Shakespeare is like famous for his lines being written to be acted. Like, the meter for the lines is meant to help you act them out, to the point where when you have characters who start talking faster, it starts going into like couplets, so they rhyme with each other and the meter speeds up too. So a lot of Shakespeare actors kind of say, ironically, doing Shakespeare is easier than other plays because just saying, once you memorize the lines, it becomes easier and easier to act it out based on the way it's metered. So that's one of his things. All right, I will say the last funny thing about this scene is that after the nurse catches her breath, she starts roasting Juliet for her choice in men, which is, by the way, what she should be doing, honestly, back with Mercutio, because it's funny when people, when you get roasted, you try and roast back, whether it's good or not. And so I think what makes this scene better is that the nurse is more of a human being and less of a punching bag, because she's like, well, Juliet I can take down, maybe not Mercutio and Romeo, and maybe not the boys, but Juliet, sure.
This guy, really? Come on, sis.
He's like, all right, but
But again, like, this is a 13-year-old kid. I don't know if you want to encourage that. Like we were saying before, at some point she probably should have been like, this could get super fucking dangerous, by the way.
Yeah, if she weren't literally setting up their marriage tonight, it would be a little cuter.
Yeah. I don't know about this guy, but I'm still going to help you fuck him.
Yeah. He's hot, though. Like, look at those legs.
That's supportive.
Bro, he's 16!
And a hand, and a foot.
And hand.
And a body.
and
It does have those.
Feet pics on the internet for free.
Wow. Tina, can you blur my foot, please?
No, they
Sure.
do not to be talked on.